Hey, it's John from Level the Playing Field. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. We're on TikTok at LPF Podcast, Instagram at LPF Podcast, and Twitter at LPF Podcast 86. And while you're at it, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on any platform that you're listening to our podcast.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of Level the Playing Field. I don't forgot how to do this apparently. Can I keep this in? Let's keep it in. I'm Dave. I'm here with John. And this isn't my day job, obviously. So John, have you ever been to a rub and tug? Because I know someone who could get you a good deal on a rub and tug.
I have not. I have not even. I wouldn't even know where to start to even find something like this.
Well, apparently you just have to get on the Houston Texans, and then they'll do all the legwork for you, and they'll even hide it for you. But then they'll suspend you, and they won't let you play, and try and pretend like they had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. For those of you that are wondering what Dave's referencing, it's the whole Deshaun Watson fiasco. And he's been accused by, he's in a...
66 women.
66, and how many civil cases? 32 or 33 at this point?
I think it's 24 people have officially joined, one class action.
Class action. Yeah, and there's more that have either looking to also join this. And there's
4 criminal, too, I think, that ended up going nowhere.
And then there are others that are also making the same assertions, the same statements about his conduct, and they're not pursuing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so that part, damning enough, that's a lot of people saying that
lot of people
that you're doing this. Not that you're not going to listen to what these women are saying when there's 2 or 3, but this is a significant amount.
Yeah, it's hard to ignore this number of complaints.
And so, that part in of itself is troublesome for him as a person and for all those people that he's impacted. It's troublesome for the Houston Texans organization that they kind of are aware of this. They are aware of the situation and basically sent him with a stack of NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, to be just get them to sign this. So the complacency there is also pretty interesting to know how did this come about? How did they think this was the solution? And that this is where we are now with what's happened. If more info keeps getting released, that's oh, you thought this was messy? Here's another pile of garbage that we're going to pour into this. And
the way the Times article was written was that he didn't even say, hey guys, I need some help with something. It's the team, they have their their ex-FBI guys or whatever they used to do before they became private security. And they just caught wind of what he was doing. And they're here, you need protection. And they were
proactive.
Yeah. There's
in the grossest way.
So they're and then they'll have that's where it's just so gross that they try to take this moral stand, and then this whole time they knew everything and were participants in it, and even to a certain degree were organizers of it. They set him up with a guy, basically someone else made this comparison, but it's kind of an accurate comparison. So his Ghislaine Maxwell, right? Someone who went out and found these girls for him, and were here, this person might be willing to touch your dick or whatever. And then that person was encouraging the girls to just do whatever it took to keep him happy. And that person was acquired or set up with Deshaun by the Texans. And then they turn around and be oh yeah, we're just not going to say any of this, and we're going to suspend you we just found out. It's just
the whole situation around it super messed up. And then I was saying before we hit record, Just like with the Cleveland Browns too, like the owners are like, oh, like we thought about this. We had like hard family conversations about like pursuing Deshaun. We made sure that we like heavily vetted him and spoke to him and like did our due diligence in terms of like learning about this situation. So if like you were very diligent and like you uncovered all the material that you need to uncover, you did all the digging you had to dig, and you didn't find this, like who lied to you? Maybe. Or like, were you looking with your eyes closed? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, what happened here for this information to get like released after the fact on the like the highest guaranteed money contract in the history of the NFL to be given to him and not have this information available?
But I don't believe it wasn't available.
Right? But like, that's just me. Like, best case scenario is like it was hidden from them. But, like, I don't believe that.
No, I'm pretty much done giving anybody the benefit of the doubt in this story. Like, they knew, and they thought it just wouldn't come out, or I don't know what they thought. They're the Browns, so obviously they probably just weren't thinking.
Yeah, and, like, who else, like, did they have to sign an NDA? Like, I was saying that, too, that the Cleveland Browns had to sign this NDA. Like, hey, we'll give you Deshaun, but you got to sign an NDA to pretend like you didn't know any of this stuff was going on.
Yeah. If they didn't know, if they were truly lied to or whatever, then you'd already be hearing about getting their picks back or voiding the contract or whatever. But we brought it up when he first signed the contract. The first year of this contract, he has his signing bonus, he's already been paid, and then his yearly salary for his first year is only $1 million. So They obviously knew that something fucked up happened, and that he was going to likely be suspended, and they were hoping it would be for the first year.
That cooked the books a bit there on that.
So, yeah, they definitely knew, and yeah, now they're getting what they deserve because they fucked over their relationship with the decent quarterback they did have to get this guy, and now it's going to come around and bite them in the ass.
Yeah, and to add to this, there was a couple of videos of Deshaun like doing like the OTA, like the mini camp stuff for like and it's just like the Cleveland Browns gave up like XYZ and like $252 million for this, and he's just like air mailing passes.
Like Tim Tebow
he's throwing the balls. A guy picked him off and took it to the house on him. Made it like whoever recorded this and then released it made Deshaun Watson look awful, like real bad. And so yeah, I don't know, man. Just really, really, like, messy, ugly situation here with this guy.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about, like, the teams and their part in it. Obviously, like, by far the worst actor in this was himself. There's actually, like... So, I actually didn't even hear this, like, talked about a ton. Maybe I'm just not listening. But, so, he was trying to get all these women to touch him, right? He was, like... touching, like, moving towards them with his dick and like getting their hands to touch them. Like, first of all, he must have a fucking hose, because like if I just move towards you, there's a very small chance that I can just like get you to touch my dick. Like, I'd have to grab your arm and pull it there. Well, so if he's just able to like turn his hips and it's in her hand, he must be working with a fucking long member.
Yeah, and like some of the things that I heard, it's like, yeah, obviously like the physical, like sort of like proximity kind of stuff, and like just like putting himself in positions where like they could like touch it, and like, but the entire time his conversations are like highly sexual in nature as well. So like it's not like he read signs wrong kind of thing. Like he like walked into those places.
Just covered his eyes and was like, I'm just gonna do what I want.
Yeah, and because like I kind of expected it, like. He understands massages as like a sexual encounter, and like there is no boundary. Like that's what it sounds like with what has been coming out with the recent reports of these women. And
but there was even one where she was just like, yeah, I fucked him, but I was in the room with him, I just felt like I couldn't say no. So he just full out raped one of them. Right?
Yeah.
It's beyond, like, these other women like had it bad, but then one of them just was like,
This was my way out.
Yeah, that's like, I had to fuck him, or else I didn't think I was leaving.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just really bad, man. So see what happens here with Deshaun Watson. And then like on top of all of this, it was also like I've been hearing like comments or reading about comments about like, the NFL and how they hand out punishment, right? Or how they deal with these issues. So like what is the NFL going to do now? Like is it half season suspension, a full season suspension? Yeah. Will any of that actually match sort of like what's going to come of this entire scenario?
Yeah, I don't really know. And like I've never really, but obviously like he needs like some kind of like disciplinary action, but I've never really seen like playing in a professional league as like a privilege. Like some people like, because like to think that like just pretend that he's like just some like insurance salesman, right? Is this guy just like never allowed to work again? Like that doesn't seem realistic. If he's not being criminally charged or whatever, so like to think that like some insurance company is just like never gonna hire him again, it seems unrealistic. So like why would that logic apply to like the NFL or the NBA or whatever league they're in? So, but I do. So like at one hand, I want to like this guy shouldn't be the face of anyone's team, but like also I don't know, it's weird.
Well, I think it also like not to have like a huge debate about like the justice system, but it's also the idea like is he going to be convicted of a crime here?
Doesn't sound like it,
right? And so if I know that for people in whatever profession, if you're convicted for a crime, it is very hard to get another job. Right? So like that would be like the comparison there. But if he's not being convicted of a crime, then like, yeah, your point of like, should he be punished forever? I think it would then have to be like, you got to take a really hard look at yourself as the organization and him as a person to see, has there been any sort of work done here to like show that you're not that person?
Yeah.
Right? And so who knows what's going to happen here? But yeah, like there would have to be a lot of work. And like we've seen this happen sort of like with Ray Rice. Not the same scenario, right? Like this is with
that's really great.
Well, it's not I'm saying like situation isn't exactly the same, but still like the morality and the ethics, and then like the harm that it causes, and like he had the opportunity to return, but it wasn't successful. So we've seen some of these things, and then like Kareem Hunt, right, also got himself into some issues around assault, and he's come back and he's playing. Right, we talked about Dante Stallworth with
Adrian Peterson.
Right, so there's varying levels of returns to the sport after something that is like not a good thing. So whether this plays out that way, only time will tell now. And like, there's just way more information coming out all the time. So like, how much left is there to uncover about this?
Yeah, and so that's where like, if every team in the league decided we don't want this type of person on our team, I'm like that's 1,000% obviously like I'm on board with that.
No,
but for the league to unilaterally be like this guy's not allowed, it would seem weird considering. And yeah, like you said, there's lots of flaws in the justice system, but like it doesn't seem like anything's gonna come of that. So not criminally, the arrogance to be like, well, they don't have enough evidence to prove that this stuff happened for him to be charged criminally, but we know more, we know better, so he's banned for life is kind of like a weird stance to take, even if it is like the morally righteous decision to make.
Well, and it's hard for me with the NFL too, is because like it's so arbitrary. Like sometimes it's like the heaviest hand dealing out the punishment. The other times it's like, you sit out a quarter and we'll call it even. Right? Like, it's so just on the whim of Roger Goodell. So, for them to, like, operate in the space where, like, they get to, like, sort of try their players in a different standard than everyone else is also a huge problem and remains a criticism of the NFL in particular.
Yeah. There I have I have another comparison for that as well. It's kind of like the same as like what MLB is doing with Trevor Bauer, right? I don't know how you know that story.
Yeah. We talked about it.
Right,
Too.
so like it doesn't sound like he's being charged criminally either, but he was on
like
administrative leave for a long time, and now he's received like a 2-year suspension or something like that. But he's not going to be charged criminally for anything that happened. So, like, I don't know. It's just I find it again like they're taking the stance of like protecting the victims. So like I'm not sitting here trying to argue that they should be taking it easy on it. I'm just saying it's a weird thought to be like the justice system wasn't able to prove this, but we know what we know, and we're going to make this decision. It's a weird stance. But like I said, I'm not about to start making arguments to protect people who allegedly beat women or assault women. So
yeah. Well, do you think that it's that's the primary reason, or do you think it's like to not tarnish like the shield, or like to tarnish the image?
Everything they do is for their own like as much as it's altruistic because of like who they're taking the side of the victim, but like ultimately they only care because of how it's going to seem on them if they don't. Right? Because it's in their best interest to just ignore this, right? And let him continue being the superstar and making the Browns a relevant franchise.
They're trying to, and he's trying real hard to not let that happen. That's what it really seems like. We've given you lots of opportunities to get past this, Deshaun, and you just continually to step in all the crap. Yeah. So
it's going to be a really, really tough look if this guy like comes back and plays, and like it's not the first time that the NFL teams have made decisions this way, but like to think that having this guy on your team isn't like a bad look for your team, but having Colin Kaepernick on your team is a terrible look because he just whatever he did to the flag or like it's just gonna continue to make that look like such a fucking fucked up decision.
Yep. And I'm sure that there's frustrations for many people that have made like political statements versus like actual terrible acts towards other people. Right? Like Kaepernick is just definitely the most prevalent of those. I was hearing you talk about Deshaun and being involved in all that. So, like, do you remember when Robert Kraft got involved in a situation like this in Florida where he went to a massage parlor and was receiving special treatment?
Yeah, but I do remember that, but that I wouldn't even compare those.
Like he's not being a gross human in the sense that like he's like forcing himself on these people.
Went to an establishment that provided that service and he paid for it. How legal it is or isn't is at first they thought it was like this establishment was part of like a sex trade operation, which it turned out not to be true. But like Deshaun is like seeking out like independent masseuses or whatever and like asking them to do that versus he went to a place that offers that service. And how you feel about that service is up to you, but like there is a vast difference in those two scenarios.
A vast difference?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have one of those anymore.
But like even in terms of like what that does for the NFL, like was there like a punishment or any sort of like fine?
I think he was fined big time, like $1 million, something like that.
Yeah, I'm just wondering like if now that he's an owner, like is it treated a little differently? So we'd have to dial back the time there for that. But I'm still shocked that the organization was like, here, take NDAs with you. Like, you know what? Just in case. Like, not like, hey, man, this is a bad decision. Hey, we would strongly advise you to not do this at all. Instead, just be like, get them to sign this thing so they can never talk about it.
Yeah, well, at this point, NFL teams probably know better than to think that they have any control over what their players do, and just trying to mitigate the amount of trouble they get in is all they can really do. But this is way different than like getting into a bar fight or some stupid shit that you're usually covering up.
Or even getting toasted at a bar. You know what I mean? Like with the team or like your crew, right? I don't know. It's really just not a good look for anyone involved in that way and like trying to cover this up. But I feel like we've talked about this for a while now. So
what's your prediction? You think he plays again?
Like, ever?
Ever.
Yeah, I think he will. He might even see him this season.
Oh, that would be so fucked up.
Yeah, I 100% agree that it would be really messed up. I could see him playing. And, like,
I don't know how you suspend Ray Rice for a year, but not him.
Honestly, it's that video. If that video doesn't come out, I don't know if he would have been suspended in the same way.
I think we can equate 66 complainants to a video, though. I think that's at least equal.
Between you and I, yeah. But we've talked about this, too, that the NFL works in a really messed up way. And so, like, they can, like, look at it in that one perspective and hand out all those punishments and all those fines. In the same breath, be like, you know what? We don't have, like, this amount of information, or we don't have, like, enough of this, or we like Deshaun Watson. It could be as simple as we like Deshaun Watson, or we owe the Cleveland Browns ownership something. We need to give them a solid here. That's all it could take. Like, that's how messed up it is, and arbitrary. So would I be surprised if he played this season? No. Do I expect him to? No. Like, if he's out there,
I'd be surprised.
If he's out there,
it may not be the most shocking thing in my life.
It would be really bad,
surprised.
And like there'd be lots of like moral outrage, and I think there would be a lot of that going on. It'd be a big talking point for while he was playing, but it wouldn't be like a oh my god I can't believe he's on the field thing for me.
If he comes back, you could like kiss goodbye. Anyone ever apologize? Like, if you can just like put him back in and be like, we're gonna ride out the bad press for like 2-3 weeks, people will move on. And if that actually happens, like, you'll never see another athlete or famous person or whatever publicly apologize for anything.
Yeah,
like, why would I just like let it go? Take this shit for a week, stay off social media, and then I'll come back and it'll be like it never happened.
Well, I wonder if his year away, whether that was like a suspension or like a I'm sitting out, because I thought he sat out. Or if it was like a forced sit out, whatever it was, if that will count as time served for all of this as well. So
I don't know. I don't think that the league can frame it that way, because that was all Houston Texans imposed, right?
So messed up. So let's continue on here, and we're gonna take a look at Tony LaRussa, a guy that. Like, I remember when he was coaching or managing... What did you say, managing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was managing the Oakland A's when...
You remember?
Yeah.
Like, you have a distinct memory of 1989?
I know. It was in when Alomar hit the home run. He was still managing them in the ALCS. That was LaRussa.
Was he still on the team?
Yeah, man. That's, like, the first memory I have of him, and he's looked relatively the same, but he can't be the same. Like, his hair dye, whatever he's using, is incredible. But, like, I was just chalking this up to, like, he's an old man now making old man decisions when he intentionally walked Trey Turner.
I think he's just trying to understand, like, this is a perfect example of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like,
well, he tried.
This is what happens. You get a guy down 1-2, and you're like, you know what? We should give him 3 balls in a row on purpose and let him walk.
Well, even the footage of him doing it, he kind of looks like not all the time. Like, at first, not super confident, and then after he's like, oh yeah, we're doing this, and I'm like, oh no, like, didn't anyone get in his way, like, or just overrule him? Like, nah, not today, Tony.
The worst part is, like, in the press conference after the game, he was like combative and angry with the reporter who like asked for understandably asked for an explanation. He's like, hey, can you just kind of walk us through the thought process of walking a guy when you have him down 1-2 versus like letting...
And how many guys are on base?
One, I think.
At least one.
Because the guy hit a 3-run home run.
Okay, so there you go. So that's the outcome of this intentional walk. They intentionally walked Turner. He hit one on. He goes on base, and then the next guy hits the 3-run jack, right?
Yeah, so it was like the 7th inning or something like that, and the Dodgers are down 3. They're playing the White Sox, and Trey Turner's up to bat, goes down 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 strike away from being out for those who don't really follow baseball. And Max Muncy, who is a pretty good hitter, who's kind of bounced around from position to position, but he's bounced around like that, like because he's a good hitter who just doesn't seem to have like a defensive position. But he's been terrible this year. He's got like a 190 batting average. Is coming up behind Turner. So after making the decision to pitch to him for the first 3 pitches of the at bat, all of a sudden they turn around and like, no, we're going to intentionally walk him. And then he has the audacity to like get angry at the reporter asking why he did that. He's like, have you seen the numbers? Have you seen the numbers of how Trey Turner hits with 2 strikes versus how Max Muncy hits? We're like, well, yeah, that might be true.
Well, Tony hasn't, that's for sure.
That might be true. Like Trey Turner, for all I know, because Max Muncy, like I said, he's hitting like shit. So Trey Turner might be hitting better with 2 strikes than Max Muncy is hitting overall, anyways.
But he's got 2 strikes.
But by that logic, Trey Turner with a 0-0 count is a better hitter than Trey Turner with a 1-2 count. So you should have been walking him from the beginning is the argument, right? If you're going to walk him, then walk him.
Why give him 3 pitches to
right? Why get him into a vulnerable position and then walk him? So yeah, it was funny listening to him try to like justify his terrible call with numbers, and so I just chalk it up to him trying to understand analytics and it's just breaking his brain.
Yeah, it's like that. Again, I'm going to reference that GIF where Steve Buscemi shows up to the high school and he's all old. It's like, hello, fellow students or whatever.
Fellow young people.
Yeah, hello, fellow young people. Yeah, so tough look for LaRussa there, manager of the White Sox. Going to continue the baseball talk here. Talk about why this guy's so cool.
What are we talking about?
Gabe Moreno.
Oh, yeah. So, with Danny Jansen breaking his finger, we were down to 2 catching options, neither of them particularly great options behind the plate. Kirk has been much better. Alejandro Kirk has been much better behind the plate, but his body type is not really one that will hold up to catching 4 or 5 times, 6 times a week. So,
but he's got he's a bigger guy.
He's like 5'8", 260, right? So, and it's not all muscle.
Got it.
Like
I said, I haven't figured this out because I haven't started watching yet. It's not August, so.
But Kirk was on the team last August.
Yeah, I didn't watch it in August last year.
So, and then the other catcher on the roster is the guy they traded for that was a flop. In the offseason was Zach Collins, who strikes out like 35% of his at-bats and is shit behind the plate. So he got...
So why do we have him?
Just like a...
Have you looked at the numbers?
Because Kirk is such a... he's hitting like 330 right now. So because he's such a good hitter, but we can't really play him behind the plate all the time. Plus, Jansen's been hitting the ball really well as well.
Mm-hmm. DHing him? Or?
They've been DHing Kirk a lot, but then if something were to happen to Jansen mid-game or you just had to make a change or something, you'd either have to put in a non-catcher to catch or you'd lose your DH the rest of the game, right? You can't just...
Make the clean
you can take your right fielder and put him at third base, and it doesn't really affect. But your for some reason with your DH, you can't take the DH and then put him into a defensive position. If by doing that,
he's designated,
I guess.
See, the name makes sense now.
By doing that, say they took Kirk and they put him behind the plate, and Jansen sat, then you just lose the DH. So then your pitcher has to hit the rest of the game. Or you have
the Angels should do that for their winning strategy since they suck so hard right now.
I don't understand.
Because they could
Ohtani?
Yeah.
And he already does that.
And then the pitcher will be the DH.
But he does that already. When he pitches, he hits.
Somebody's
so then they carry a third catcher. Anyway, back to Moreno. So Jansen's hurt. They got rid of Collins because he's shit, and now Moreno's up, and it looks like he's going to be catching like the bulk of the time. He's like our best prospect right now. He was ranked 4th best prospect in baseball before the season, and he's played pretty well so far. I watched the first game he was in, and he recorded. So they have like it's called a pop time, which is the time from when the catcher catches the ball and then is able to throw it, and the second base or whoever's covering second catches it, right? When he's throwing to second base. And he recorded the 7th fastest pop time in Major Leagues this year. Like, not like average or anything, just like the 7th best of the season in the first throw of his career. So he's got like an elite arm. I think he's thrown out like 26% of the runners against him in the minors, something like that, which is really high.
That's a 1 in 4, more or less, right?
Yeah,
so.
That's really high. We've actually never really had a catcher who's been able to throw for like the longest time.
What about Pat Borders, man?
I don't know what his number's like. That was a long ass time. Even if that was true, Borders, that was baby. A long ass time ago.
He always had a big old fat wad in his cheek. That's what I remember about Pat.
It was in his lip.
He had it. Well, he pushed it out here sometimes when he was at bat. Because I remember going like, "What's that?" My mom's like, "It's tobacco." And I was like, "Oh, why would you do that?" She's like,
She didn't just lie to you and tell you it was gum?
No, she said it was tobacco. But yeah, Pat Borders, baby. I got you again. So he throws out like 26%.
Yeah, he's also an elite hitter. He's hit last year. He hit like 380 for the season in the minors over like single A and double A. He's hitting like 330 or 335 or something like that in triple A this year. Only in like 39 games, but still.
So we have another good guy.
Yeah, so it's just the Jays is with another like potential star 25 and under player. Like,
so who's responsible for this? Shapiro?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
It's been I don't know, because like international guys, it takes so long to come up because they usually get signed so young, but I'm pretty sure this is a Shapiro or Shapiro, I think he likes being called.
Sorry. Potato.
Yeah.
Shapiro. Like
Vladdy was... I think Vladdy's like the last prospect to come up that was like an Anthopoulos prospect.
So these other guys are...
like Bichette and and guys after that, they were drafted by Shapiro and Atkins.
All right, well, hopefully they're still getting people like this guy up here. I saw he was in a picture with... Miguel Cabrera, and that was like a big deal for him because like that's like his idol.
Yeah, they're both from Venezuela. I saw the like they talked about it during the game, and they showed the video of them taking the picture. And at first, I was like, "Holy fuck!" Miguel Cabrera is a giant because he was like,
yeah, he looked like he up ate,
to his nipples.
He looked like he ate another Gabe Moreno.
But then I found out today, actually, I was listening on the radio on the way home from ball, that he's only like 5'9".
Oh, he's just a little guy.
Yeah.
And
but still.
Cabrera looked enormous.
Humongous person.
He's a big man. I saw that too. I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, it's nice that he's meeting kids before the game. Like, it's an amazing thing he still does. So, all right. Well, hopefully he continues to do well, and we have just another stud in our lineup to take us to the top.
Actually, speaking of Cabrera, the fucking Tigers just continuously celebrating milestones all over the Jays. It's like last year, Cabrera hit his 500th home run against the Jays. I think that was even at the Rogers Center.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, it was at the Rogers Center because that was part of A.J. Hinch's speech. And then in April 23rd, Cabrera also got his 3,000th hit of his career, obviously. And they did the pregame ceremony like on a day the Jays were playing.
Just as a thank you to the Jays for helping him reach these milestones.
Yeah, actually, Hinch did say in the thing, he was like, thanked the Jays fans for
acknowledging the accomplishment.
Yeah, because you could be in like an opposing stadium or whatever, and they could be like, "Oh, fuck this guy," but they like gave him a standing ovation and stuff. I guess it's easier when Like if a Red Sox did it, or especially if like a Red Sox did it at Yankee Stadium or something,
Yeah.
I can see the reception being different. But when it's someone as lovable as Cabrera against a team as vanilla as Detroit, like who gives a fuck about Detroit other than like the White Sox, right? So,
Right on.
anyways, that was random and pointless, but
Right. Well, we're gonna keep it going in a similar topic here, but I'm gonna read the show note for maybe the first time that Dave's written it. So, Strange New Sports Edition. The pitcher blows the game by doing what?
So, this guy in the minors, this guy reached base. The first batter reached base on an error, and then the second guy he walked, and then he hit the next 4 batters in a row.
He's the enforcer of the team, obviously.
So, just the thought that like, how did he allowed 5 straight batters to reach base by not even allowing hits. He walked and then hit 4 people in a row, and the manager's just like, "Yep, it's the fucking dog in the fire memes." Like, "Yep, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything is okay."
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and they lost because this guy.
Well, he was on a pitch count. He hadn't reached his pitch count yet. So,
and he just,
haven't you seen the numbers?
He just stood there and let his team lose by allowing this pitcher to plunk 4 people in a row. And so
Maybe they had a bet. It's like, he won't do it. All the guys in the clubhouse were like, yeah, you won't go out there and bean 4 guys in a row.
when I was listening to people talk about it, Dallas Braden was like, well, maybe it happened, like, if he hit him on, like, 4 pitches in a row, maybe it just happened so fast that, like, you couldn't possibly get someone up and warm in time, which is valid. I don't know if that's what happened or not, but that's just...
I like my enforcer angle on this.
They just all looked at him wrong. So
yeah, he's like, you know what? I'm going to beat you. I don't like the way you tapped your cleats with your bat before you set up.
Not in my box. This is my plate.
Yeah. So that's a tough look.
Tickle all the rib cages.
Have you seen the highlight from, I guess, is it today or yesterday? The guy who threw like the slowest recorded pitch to be knocked out in a home run. It was like 38 miles an hour.
Was it Greinke?
I don't know who it was.
Greinke's been doing shit.
A professional baseball player threw like one of those just like one of those like ones that just like the arc was enormous on it, and the guy at the plate was like, "Okay, thank you for this," and just crushed it out of the park.
I don't actually even know if he's still pitching, but like Zach Greinke's been doing shit like that lately. Like when in his prime, he was hitting like mid to high 90s with his fastball, and in his later in his career, he lost that, and he just decided to like be a trick pitcher, and so he would do these like huge
like N1 mixtape, but like with weirdo pitches.
Sure. So you just love jumping in today. No, I'm kicking you. So yeah, he just like would throw like 50-mile-an-hour curveballs and like So I don't know. Maybe it was him. I don't know. I didn't see that.
Frank Schwindel.
No. Didn't see that.
35-mile-per-hour lob. Slowest pitch to ever be hit for a home run. Yeah,
Is he a position player?
Yeah, Chicago Cubs.
But position player or pitcher?
I don't know. He's a pitcher today.
I guess so.
Yeah, so I saw the clip and I'm like, oh, why did he throw it like that? Because they're like, oh, watch out for this pitch. It was only 38 miles per hour. I thought it was like one of those weirdo pitches that people throw. I don't know. It's got a weird name. Anyways... So, no, he just looked like me. Like, if I were going to try to make it to the plate, just, like, rainbow it.
He just looked like Henry Rowengartner after his arm snapped back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. What was that, Rookie of the Year?
No.
Little Big League?
No, I think you're right.
Rookie of the Year, I think. Yeah, that's a great movie. Yeah, and then the guy crushes it. Absolutely crushes it. So, which is hilarious. So, another day
was it this hulking mustachioed fellow? Like in the movie?
No.
No?
I don't think so. But yeah, that's just weird to get beaned 4 times in a row, or to think, you know what, I'm going to throw it real shitty and hope that he doesn't smash it. Like, that guy's not a professional athlete. He gets paid to smash the ball.
And he has to go in that clubhouse after and like face his teammates.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah. Maybe he had a bet. He lost a bet and he had to do one of those pitches.
He obviously is connected to the mob.
Yeah.
And was fixing the game.
Well, there we go. So I know we touched on this the last time that we had an episode. So the Canadian men's national soccer team, they ended their strike and they ended up returning to the field for some practices. And I don't even know if they played. I think they played.
They played a friendly. I was trying to find the word.
There you go. You found it. And
yeah, that's how I saw this. Is they were playing. I can't remember who they played.
Panama or something like that. And so they're talking about the talks being pleasant and very, very positive. What that actually means, we'll know if there's an agreement. And there still isn't one, but at least they're not writing open letters and holding press conferences to talk about like why this should or should not happen.
Right. Probably before they're like, it's our money, we'll decide. And then now they're like, fine, we'll talk about it. So you can be part of the conversation. They're like, cool.
Yeah. And it's definitely like getting to an interesting time because there are a bunch of like little tournaments and friendlies that are being set up. So like it's really important that they kind of resolve this. I watched, there's a last qualifiers for the international qualifying spots happening today and tomorrow. And so Australia beat Peru in a shootout in PKs to qualify for the World Cup.
That seems shocking.
Yeah. Peru hit the bar a bunch of times. Australia had their chances too, and they just couldn't convert, so they went to extra time. And tomorrow New Zealand plays... Oh, who do they play? I got half of the lineup, but there's a second, and that's the last spot for the World Cup. So it's June, and they're still wrapping up because they had to delay the window because of the whole like Russia-Ukraine thing, right? So, but it was interesting. Some I wouldn't say it was good soccer to watch, but it was at least captivating because of the pressure. Oh, and the Australian team, they had their goalie that played the entire game. They subbed him out for a new goalie for the PKs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I was like, oh, bold strategy, Cotton. See how this works out. And the guy saved one. So the coach looks like a genius.
You think that's easier in soccer than in like hockey? People have tried that in hockey too, to bring in a cold goalie to...
It's a terrible decision.
You think it's even in soccer?
Oh, yeah. And like the Netherlands coach did during the 2014 World Cup, they had their like standard goalie that was starting all the games. He went to PKs and they subbed him out for this other guy, and he saved one or two. And when they did it, I was like dying inside. I'm like, why are you doing this? This guy has like not taken any shots. He's had 0 minutes. Like, he's the keeper. It's not even like he runs up and down the sidelines like the other guys when like he just went in there. And so like, no, I don't think it's easier, but he tried and it worked out, so he's a hero now. But he would have been heavily criticized if it didn't happen that way. So hopefully the men's team can rally and get to the tournament with some momentum because they're gonna need it because they got Croatia and Belgium.
Yeah, now that they're back on the field, let's hopefully they don't have to make another stand and just can get their momentum rolling so they can have a decent showing in this World Cup.
Because I don't want it to be embarrassing for them. That would be bad.
Yeah, that would be a setback if they went and just got annihilated. I think it would be hard to swallow, and especially you'd have to requalify and everything.
Well, and just like the whole that we were the top team in CONCACAF for qualifying, that we beat Mexico and the United States, right? So all of those things are would have seemed for naught.
It also seemed like a fluke, right?
Yeah, and we don't need us to be seen as a fluke. We want to be taken seriously. Speaking of being taken seriously, the Tampa Bay Lightning back in the Stanley Cup Finals for the third year in a row.
Yeah.
So for me, who do I think is going to do this? I would like Colorado to do it, but I think Tampa's going to win.
But would you rather the new champion or to witness the three-peat?
I honestly don't love the three-peat. Like, I don't like, that's an incredible thing. And
do
like,
it again, and then I'll be impressed, like Michael Jordan.
Right? Like, you gotta do 2 three-peats. Like, then talk to me. You know what I mean? Like, so like Jordan did it twice. Shaq and Kobe did it, right? So like, I understand why that's so significant and why it's so amazing to like do that 3 years in a row, especially like knowing that the target's on your back. Like, I'm not downplaying that accomplishment in any way. I think it'd be cool for Colorado to get in there. They've done well for the last little while and kind of underachieved, so it looks like they've like shaped themselves into form and like are fulfilling their potential as a team. So I think that's, for me, more interesting. Not that Tampa Bay, and if they won, they'd be like this terrible story, because it absolutely would not. Especially like you've described before, like it's really hard to do that the way that NHL contracts and teams are organized and set up now. So whoever wins, it's going to be a great story. I guess personally, I would like to see something new. And because like, as much as it bothered me that Tampa Bay beat the Maple Leafs, like I kind of don't want them to win because of that too.
Doesn't it legitimize
Yeah,
losing?
I don't live that way. Like, because when you get beat by someone and then they get destroyed in the next round, like the Sixers got destroyed in the next round after the losing, the Raptors lost to them. Like, okay, so then were we a really, really, really bad team then? Like, I don't think so. It's just they went and played a team that was way better than them. Like, matchup wise, the Sixers got killed. So I don't know. I think watching the Tampa Bay Lightning like be successful after beating the Leafs and like seeing some like that they've had some difficulty with other teams, and like it's not like they walked through Florida, but they didn't walk through the Rangers. So I don't know. I guess I just like the new story.
Yeah, I'm torn. I think I'd probably rather see the three-peat. I really couldn't care less about Tampa Bay as a team. I like Stamkos, but I don't know, ever since like the original Avalanche with like Raw and Sakic and Forsberg, I've always had kind of a soft spot for Colorado, so I'd like to see them win, especially like Nathan McKinnon's disgusting, so it'd be cool to watch him do well. But yeah, I think for historically it'd be cool to see the three-peat. I don't even know the last time it's happened in hockey.
I don't know.
Probably fucking before like
It would be
original
like
six stuff.
No, it would be like Islanders or Edmonton, wouldn't it?
Oh, Edmonton.
I think in
Edmonton
the
for
80s.
sure. I don't know if Islanders would have won 3 in a row.
But in the 80s, I would say is the last time this would have been.
You're probably
a thing.
right. It actually might not even line up that way, but you could. That's a good point. It's very possible that Edmonton did it.
Yeah, or like they got interrupted in one of those, like a 3 and 4 or something like that. But if that's the most recent one I could think of it possibly being.
Since you brought up the Leafs, they're the only. So they lasted longer against Tampa Bay than anybody else. So really, when you think about it, shouldn't we re-rank the order that the Tampa Bay played them? So like really, like Florida should be the first round exit, and then the Rangers should be the second round exit. So like in theory, the Leafs made the conference finals. Good for the Leafs.
I'm not here to revise history or any of those things. Like whether we lost to them in the first round or the third round, like I just love that you're doing it. I just think it's hilarious. But yeah, man, like I think many people said that was going to be like whoever won the series between Tampa and Toronto, like the path would have been a little more straightforward. And yeah, I think that we've talked about it too, but I know that like that was something that got said once the pairing got made, and it just didn't work out for the Toronto Maple Leafs, right?
Yeah.
Like we went to Game 7, we tried really hard, we didn't give it away to them.
They kind of did.
I don't know.
They were up 3-2
in the series, but I mean, watching like the times where like we were up in Game 7 to like Boston, and then
it's not as bad. Like if you're using Toronto standards, then this was like the best series ever,
right?
But
we still lost.
You still gave up a series lead and lost 2 games in a row to give up the series, right?
But I guess like,
but no, it's not Boston.
No, it's not egregious per se. They're not the only team to have ever done something like that, to be up 3-2 and then lose the series. So, so the path was cleared, and we just weren't the benefactors of it. But yeah, it should be a good matchup. I think it'll be fun to see McKinnon skate around in the.
Hopefully, it's more entertaining than the fucking Edmonton series was.
Oh, they just walked all over him.
I was like, man, we're gonna have Connor McDavid versus
McKinnon.
Like, this is gonna be amazing.
Well, that first game was 8-6, and I think that they just blew their wad in that game. There was 14 goals in the first game.
Have you seen? So it's mostly on like. So you already know this, but like I created some burner accounts to cheat in a in a Twitter contest.
Hey, he outed himself. Amazing.
And so for some reason I didn't turn the notifications off on these burner accounts, and I've gotten like countless tweets and videos about Connor McDavid cheating on his girlfriend.
Really?
Like, just getting wasted and cheating on his girlfriend. It's like all over my phone today, and yesterday too.
Yeah, I don't know what you were watching or whatever.
I was watching it. It's all tweets.
But there must have been like some. No, there must have been like some like article or some like other account that also had that. Then like started sending it to.
I don't know.
Like it's just based on like algorithm, right? That's really weird though that they all sort of got it.
I saw a funny tweet. It was Connor McDavid gets drunk and cheats on his girlfriend. Nathan MacKinnon hasn't had refined sugar since he was 7 years old. That's why Nathan MacKinnon's in the finals and Connor McDavid's out. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah. So, it should be interesting. The playoffs have been really good. The NHL playoffs have actually been really good. Coming from a guy like that's not a big-time hockey fan.
The West has been better.
But like, there's
some
been
of these matchups in the East have been.
But there's been some good games, like throughout, where like I'll put it on and hope that like it's interesting a lot of the time, and then I'm like, But there's been a lot of like back and forth and like just fun hockey to watch for someone who's not like a diehard hockey fan. So good for the NHL for having riveting playoffs. Can't really make it happen, but this year it did, so that's great. So, you ready for those grievances?
Yep.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
All right, so I'll start it off. This past weekend was the RBC Canadian Open in Toronto at St. George's in Etobicoke. So I had tickets
Your VIP tickets didn't let you backstage, and you're really pissed off you didn't upgrade?
Nope, none of that. So standard ticket gave us access to the grounds on Saturday and to the Maroon 5 concert, which was actually
too bad you're
really
not on
good.
a sports podcast. You could have done like some live reporting from the RBC Open or something.
Yeah, there's no way. I was having too good of a time doing other things. That's just multitasking is not a thing for me. And so we're there. Beautiful day, nice and hot, sunny. So we followed Tony Finau for like the first half, and then we parked ourselves at in between the 12th and 14th holes. So the 12th they tee off, and we could stand like right by the tee box and like get that view, which was cool. And then the 14th is kind of sunken down, so we could like look down onto the green. So it was a nice vantage point because you could see them there, and they kind of like walk back around, and you see them again. Mm-hmm. So we got parked there, and so my grievance is really just like there's a bunch of guys that wear like the matching shirts, and like that's not my grievance. I'm like, okay, this is like your day out, cool, bros broing out, being whatever. But like because Rory was in the second last group, and like his entourage, the people following him, so many people, so the holes are packed. And so we get to the 18th after we left the 14th. Rory hit at the 14th, and we just booked it to the 18th. Lindsay and I did. And so we're there, and it's rammed. And so like we're kind of like finagling our way through the crowd. There's some space here. Oh, we're in there. Space there, in there. Like we're watching other people do it. And then this guy wearing this stupid sun hat. That's what I remember about him, and that he's a loser. But like wearing this stupid sun hat, and so like Lindsay and I kind of like, he was standing to the left of us, and there's this little open space because people turned and then went further into the crowd. So we went into that empty space, and then he's like, oh, like look at this guy just like getting in my space. And so I just looked at him, and I'm like, you could have moved here. Like just look at him like, you could have moved here. And he's like, yeah, just taking up the space. And then I just didn't respond again. I just had my drink, and I just kept drinking it. And then like I look over and I just drink it. And then I talk to Lindsay, and then we'd be like, oh, this is awesome. Like, we got such a good vantage point. And I'm just like, why? And like, he wasn't the only one doing that. There's a bunch of guys complaining that people were like blocking their view. But if you looked out, like the crowd was enormous. Everyone's blocking someone's view in some way.
Yeah.
And so that's my grievance. It's like, you are cutting off the people behind you, but now you're mad that you're being cut off. It's like, get over yourself. You're in a public place where everyone wants to see the green. And this guy's like, I would say like maybe 6'2". So he's taller than a lot of the people in the crowd already. So like, understand that you're a loser and being a huge jerk, and just deal with the fact that someone maneuvered their way in front of you and go on living your life.
Yeah, people don't like to admit their own double standards.
So that's my grievance. It's just these bros at the Open just not understanding that what they're doing is exactly what was happening to them.
No, but you don't understand. They did it first, so it's okay. When you did it after, it's wrong.
And this is one of those cases where if you're first,
You're last.
you're also last.
So we usually watch TV like when we're watching or when we're eating dinner together.
Yeah.
So we all try to agree on something. But sometimes Alicia's like tutoring or whatever. She's not home. I think this time she had like an MRI book. Anyways, doesn't matter. So it's just
Why she wasn't here? Not that she had an MRI.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that also. Who cares? I didn't have an MRI. We can fucking cares. So Mac and Logan usually watch something on TV with us, and the other two are doing whatever because the age gap is too big for us all to agree on something. So they're watching their own thing. So when Alicia's not home, I'm just like, whatever, do whatever you want, and I listen to like I like have a podcast going in 1 year or something. But this time we tried watching Happy Gilmore, like at the beginning of the week. But then there was
some content.
Some like I can't remember. He said something, and then Alicia like knew that a scene was coming up where he went to his happy place and he saw that chick in lingerie or whatever. I can't
Julie
remember her
Bowen.
name. Yep, that one. And,
Claire Dunphy.
Yeah, spoke show. And so she's like cut it off, like, nah, this is gonna be too bad. But then when she wasn't home, I was like, I've got a movie for you. So I was like, we're watching Talladega Nights.
No.
It was awesome. I love that fucking movie.
It is a good one.
McKenna was not thrilled at first with the bar scene where they all react terribly to finding out that Jean Girard is gay. Right? They're all a bunch of bigots, right? And she's like, why are they making fun of him for being gay? I was like, you have to look at it deeper than that. They're not making fun of him for being gay. They are. Literally in the movie, they're making fun of him for being gay. But the joke that we're supposed to understand is that they're the joke. That, like, the people making fun of the gay guy
they're the idiots.
That's who we're really making fun of in this scenario. It's not that, like, you have to look at it, like, one step further. You can't just, like, yes, your eyes are seeing... Your eyes are seeing these rednecks make fun of this gay European. But we're laughing. The audience is laughing at the rednecks.
For being so out of pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to explain that to her. And after that, she kind of got on board. But yeah.
There you go. So you did it. You snuck one in.
Yep.
Right. So now that you've given us your gratitude.
Actually, yeah, that's what I'll use that for gratitude. Watching an awesome movie with my kids.
Let's go to your grievance here.
So, in my backyard, if I don't mow at a certain time, like, once it rains, I have to give it, like, a good amount of time before I can mow.
Because it pools?
Yeah, because it, like, pools right in the middle. It gets soft, and it just bungs up the machine. So, Saturday? Yeah, I think it was Saturday. I get the mower out, and I take one step out of the garage, and I feel raindrops. That's a good reason for being bald, is you get to know when it rains faster than everybody else. So I walk out of the garage, immediately, like, a couple drops, like, fuck. Usually I would do the front first. I just went straight to the back, and I started mowing, understanding that, like, it's possible that it's going to, like, really start to rain. And so the kids go inside, and I'm mowing the grass. So I'm about, like, 30% done. And then it starts to, like, rain harder. I'm like, okay, fine. I've decided. I'm fine getting wet. It's fine. And then as the rain keeps getting like worse and worse, I'm like trying to go as fast as I can. And so I've already made this decision to give up my body for the team and like get soaked, and I'm gonna have to change and shower and everything after. But then it takes another step further. I start getting pelted in the head with like pebble-sized fucking hail. I'm like, why? It's fucking
You
June.
don't like your bald weather detector now, do
No,
you?
I don't. I'm like, it's fucking June. I'm trying to mow my grass. Why am I getting pelted with hail in June? There's no tornado. It's just a rain. Why is it hurting me?
Why are you the way that you are? Yeah, I didn't experience any of that. Like, what time was this on Saturday?
3?
Yeah, like I was in like hot, sunny weather.
Yeah, my whole fucking trampoline had like hail all over it. I was like, the fuck?
Nah, man. I didn't live that life. Hate to see it.
Gotta move to the beach.
No, you just Sunday's my mow day. So
Yeah,
was
like I
nice
said, I
on
have to
Sunday.
do it whenever like the weather dictates when I mow, because like it was not like particularly sunny on Sunday, so it wouldn't have dried up enough to like be comfortable. So like once I started, I had to get it done.
got it. All right, so you're sticking with your Talladega Nights as your gratitude there?
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't
All
think
right.
I had. I didn't think I
No,
had anything in
you left it blank. Typically, it's
usual.
just sad, Dave.
there. Poor Dave.
So, my gratitude is that my course is officially over on Friday, but I completed the last activity today, and so now I'm done my course. So, it's been a wonderful experience. I've learned so much. None of that is true. And, so now I can enjoy some free time again, where I'm not just reading and responding to a bunch of activities.
You should just use this time to light up all the people in your course.
No, I'm not going to do that. It's not their fault that they are in there.
Why are you the way that you are?
Yeah. No, so the instructors recommended like going through and like reading like posts from previous activities. So
Nope.
basically what I do is I just go and like I pick like one thread and then I'll just click it open all of those. And then what I have been doing is they like recommend like 25 hours a week or something like that to be online. So when I get to work in the morning, I just sign in, and then in between periods, because I go from class to class, I'll go and I'll like wave my mouse. So it's like I'm active for 6 hours every day. So
you've had to like stay late at school to fill up
Absolutely
these
not.
25 hours.
Absolutely not. So there are, I'm there like, depends on if I drop Rowan off. So if I drop Rowan off, I'm there at like 7:45. If I'm dropping Evelyn off, then I'm there at like 8:15. So by the time the computer turns on, it's like 10 minutes later. So like 8:25 or like 8 o'clock. And then I do that until about 2:45, 3 o'clock. So I'm logging a good like 6 hours, 7 hours a day, just having it on. And so I'm going to meet that time requirement as well. She appreciates how active I am on the discussion board. That's been my feedback multiple times. So thumbs up me. The course is over. And because it's early now, my brain is definitely going into hibernate mode.
John's lying, and his real gratitude is that he got a pat on the back from his teacher, and that's really all he wanted.
Yeah, it's just I want it to be acknowledged. And so, no, absolutely not. But yeah, it's over. I'm not in any sort of fear of failing this course at all. So I'm just waiting for them to update my Ontario College of Teachers record. So
Is
it's
that your
official.
specialty done now? Or do you have one more?
So I got my spec ed specialist. So yeah, so I've got two now. I've got my ESL and my spec ed one. So now if someone moves me out of my position, it's because they don't like me. It's not because I'm not qualified enough.
So are you just comfortable being in spec ed for life now?
No, I got some other plans in the works, but I got to figure out how and what that'll look like and how long I want to spend doing it. But I'm happy to do what I'm doing for now. Ideally, I think in the very near future, I will want to work closer to home, make that a little bit easier for us for like planning and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So thankful the course is done. Kind of cruise control into the summer.
Nice.
Yep, that's that. So thanks for
Take
listening.
any summer coursework?
No. Well, and I'm away for like the first half of the summer, so it wouldn't have worked anyways.
That's true.
I'm not doing
You're abandoning all your responsibilities.
Yeah, it's just doing all of that. The first half of the summer more or less is shot. I've got lots of plans, so I'm absolutely not going to find time to do a course in the summertime. I did that once at the very beginning of my career, and I said, no, I'm not doing this
Apparently
anymore.
that's what Alicia's mom did, like, every summer almost, was take courses and shit.
Yeah, 2 thumbs
And-
down.
yeah.
Can't recommend it.
I don't recommend it either, but she had the same goal that you have, right? So
Yeah.
that's how she decided to do it.
Well, like, I think because I'm in the role that I'm in now, like, the workload isn't as constant in terms of, like, planning and marking. So I can dedicate some of this time to get the coursework done. And so I've taken advantage of it.
Right.
So that's that. I preemptively said thanks for listening, and then you showed interest in me. So thank you for showing interest in me, Dave, and my career aspirations. This time for real. Any other closing remarks before I say thanks for listening? Or
Nah, I'm good.
all right. Thanks for listening.